Hello everybody. Today I'm going to take you through a playthrough of the third game in the Drifter series, Adventurer, Dungeons and Drifters, a fantasy adventure game. We have our dice, our map, our combat sheets, companion sheets, there's 2 of them, our table sheet, where a lot of the mechanics take place. I have the rule book printed out, but not the event book. That's going to be on digital. And then we also have here what comes with the game, just some tokens that you can make yourself. So this here, I cut this one out. This will represent our character. And here's our character. Honan, a warrior. His motivation of adventuring is status. His weapon is a sword. His aura shield is the second highest. He has max health. His intellect is 3. Currently has 2 hero points, no points of interest, no items. We rolled to see how much gold we have, and we start with the game with 12 gold, no XP, and we are level 1. So if we go to the warrior class, we can see here that starting weapon is a sword, which we have marked down, and it's shield level. And then we are level 1. And the level 1 ability is the Mighty Blow. And when you are in combat, R110, rule 110, attacking with your weapon, you may spend 1 hero point to attempt a Mighty Blow. Any resulting wound level is increased by 1 wound level. So a light wound becomes medium wound becomes heavy wound, etc. So I don't have the full event book printed out, just event 001 and 002. So let's read this. You are a fledgling adventurer. Now far from home, you have set out into this fabled land in hopes of accumulating enough wealth in order to fulfill your quest. The terrain of this mysterious realm is covered in dense forests, arid deserts, hazy marshes, and rolling grasslands. Throughout, there are all walks of life, from docile critters, predatory animals, peasants, patricians, and ravenous creatures. There are tales of perilous dungeons, secret tombs, and ancient ruins, inhabited by mythological beasts and menacing magic that guard legendary riches. Armed with your wits and weapon of choice, you are ready to explore the highest mountains to the deepest valleys to achieve your goal. Now consult the entire section under R101 in the rulebook. R001 is just the creating your character portion, which I've already completed. And that is to determine your character's stats, items, etc., and go over general rules. When completed, return and read the next paragraph. Well, we're done making the character. So, you awake in the wilderness. Roll a d10 to determine which hex you start at on the map board. 2. So a 2 is hex 1814. All right, we have laid our token on hex number 1814, which is a swamp hex. We return back to E001. Place your token on that hex. You gather your supplies and set out to seek your destiny in this mythical land. Choose an available action, R101A, located in the rules section. All right, let's begin. All right, in the rule book, we come to R101A actions. So we choose an action. So actions allowed in any hex. Travel to an adjacent hex. Move to an adjacent hex, R101B, your most common choice. So, and then actions allowed only in certain hexes. Point of interest, only when on a hex that contains a known point of interest. City, so only on a hex with a city can we do a city action. So let's go to the travel action, which is up here, R101B. So move to any adjacent hex and roll for a random event. Table A on the table sheet based on your current aura shield. See the top right of your character sheet. Turn to that event in the event book. Let's do that. So we return back to our map and we're doing a travel action. So we move into an adjacent hex. Well, let's start heading towards this city. There's a city in that hex right there. So we moved into the adjacent hex. Now we need to roll on the table A event table under our aura shield. And we have determined that Honan's aura is the black shield with one sword currently. So let's roll under that column. So that is this column right here. High. 42. So under high, 42, right here. E016. Okay, turn to E016 in the event book. Encounter. Someone approaches. Roll a D10. 2. All right, so you roll the D10. Result 2, 1 through 6. If we are on a, if on a forest or grassland hex, because we are on a forest hex, so if on a forest hex, we go to E104. Okay, E104, encounter forest or grassland. We must roll a D10. 2. A hill giant. Oh, we're in combat already. So the hill giant is a category G monster, giant. His physicality is 3, intellect is 2, weapon a club, so under that column on the combat table. The treasure shield if we defeat him, and we get 6 XP if defeated. But there's a star here, thick skin. Whenever the hill giant takes any wound level, immediately roll a d6. On a 1 or 2, lower the wound level by 1. So let's record that and get to combat. All right, we've recorded the hill giant stats on the combat sheet. So 2 intellect, 3 physicality. I put an asterisk under abilities. No point writing the whole thing out. That's just to remind me that there is a special ability. And then there's the weapon column the hill giant will be rolling on the combat table when attacking. So let's go to initiative now. Determine who attacks first. Honan or the hill giant? So we look at the hill giant again. Initiative is rule R110B, which we've conveniently placed here the formula to determine who attacks first. So under table C, black shield, an intellect roll -1. So we come over to the table C, under the black shield, intellect -1. It's a D10 roll. So it is, Honan has an intellect of 3, but he gets -1 to the roll. So we roll this with only a +2. 6 + 2 is 8. 8 is a pass, which means Honan attacks first. So now Honan attacks with his sword, using this column here on the combat table. So here's the combat table, and this is the column Honan will be rolling under. Now, the formula would be Honan's physicality, which is 4 currently, minus the hill giant's physicality, which is 3. So that means 4 minus 3. Honan gets +1 to this roll, rolling a D12 under this column. So let's roll it up with a +1. 10 + 1 is 11. 11 is a heavy wound, but our hill giant has that special ability, so we immediately roll a d6. We roll a 1 or a 2, that gets lowered to a medium wound. Nope. So the hill giant takes a heavy wound right off the bat. So we just come on down to the hill giant, who's taken a heavy wound, and that means the hill giant's physicality is down 2 points. So now the hill giant's physicality, 3 minus 2, is now 1. But it's now the hill giant's turn to attack. And the formula is the same as when Honan attacked. But the hill giant has a 1 physicality, and Honan has a 4. Therefore, 1 minus 4, it is a -3 for the hill giant's roll under this column on the same table we rolled for Honan, the combat table. So here we are under, that's skills. Combat's up here. This column, same column as Honan. So we'll roll this with -3. 2 minus 3 is a 1 or lower result, but there's an asterisk there. 1 star. Let's see what that says. Countered. Attacker immediately takes a light wound. But now the hill giant has that armor. So we will roll the d6 to see if we roll a 1 or a 2 and lower that to no wounds. The hill giant rolls a 1, therefore does not take the wound level. It's now Honan's turn to attack. Now Honan has a physicality of 4 still, but the hill giant has now a physicality of 1. Therefore, 4 minus 1 is 3. Honan gets +3 to this roll under his sword column here, so +3. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is a heavy wound. So if we roll, it doesn't matter, actually. Now the hill giant's dead, because even if the hill giant rolls his armor roll to lower that by 1, it's a medium wound. And the hill giant's wound is currently heavy, so a medium wound would still be dead. So Honan has thrusted his sword through the hill giant's kneecap, which hit a mean artery and has toppled the hill giant. So now we've defeated the hill giant. So how much experience do we get? We get 6 experience for defeating the hill giant, and we get to roll under the treasure table, under the black shield. So first, let's record the XP6 on Honan's character sheet. So we come to Honan's character sheet, XP section, we write down 6. When a character reaches 15 experience points, they reach the next level, and therefore that would unlock another class ability. Now we come over to the treasure table, table D, and we saw the hill giant, we roll under the black shield. We roll a D20. So let's roll that and see what we get. A 19. And a 19 result is E002. So let's turn to that in the event book and see what we get. E002 is a boon. So let's roll a D10 and see what we get. 7. So 7 is roll a D6. So let's see what we get. 6. 7. A 1 or 2 result would be a useless trinket, but we get an XP point. But we rolled a 6. So E003M. Let's turn to that in the event book and see what it is. Okay, E003 is Insect's Bane. It has a one-time use. When you use it, successfully or not, immediately remove it from your items. When in combat, with an opponent that is classified as an insect, so category I, you can use the Insect's Bane as an attack. To attack with the Bane, roll a d6. If you roll over the opponent's intellect score, the opponent is immediately defeated. If you don't roll over the opponent's intellect score, it fails and combat resumes as normal. All right, we come to the character sheet and we record here Insect Bane, and we record the event number of Insect Bane just so we have the rules in case we want to use it in the future. All right, so we return back to our event because we've taken care of treasure to see if there's any further instruction, and we don't have any. So there's no further instruction, so we go ahead now and simply pick a new action. So return to our map, and we are 1 hex away from the city. So let's do another move action and go into the hex with the city, and that's hex number 1614. So if we check down here, in case it's relevant, 1614, that's a forest hex. So we're taking a travel action. So what we have to do now to complete the travel action is we need to roll for a random event under the event table over here, under our aura shield, which is this column right here. Let's see what happens now. 16. 16 is E009. So let's go take a look at that and see what that is right there. E009. Homestead. There is a modest homestead. There is a modest home in the distance. You can ignore it or approach. If you approach the home, XP1, and then we go to event 211. If you ignore it, we roll a d6, and a 1 or a 2 we'll have to roll for another event. You know, let's approach the home. Why not? We're feeling good after defeating a hill giant, feeling confident. Maybe we'll meet somebody here that can help us. Maybe help us find a place where we can get some treasure. So we record the XP that we've gotten. We currently have 6, so we add to that. We now have 7. Just a little, almost half to gaining a level. Let's go to the homestead. All right, modest homestead. You approach a modest home. Roll a d10. Let's do that. 9. Okay, let's go to 9. 8, 9. You meet the occupant. Roll a d4. Okay, roll a d4. All right, a 2. It is an elderly man. attempt an intellect skill test. So we have to perform a skill test, just like we did with initiative. It's the same kind of idea, same formula, same table. Table C, under the black shield, intellect -2, or our intellect, Honan's intellect, is 3, -2, so we get +1 to the roll under the black shield column, and we'll see if we pass or fail. All right, let's roll. +1. 8 + 1 is 9. Pass. Okay, the elderly man takes us in. We get to choose one of the following. So he gives us a tasty meal and a drink, and our aura shield goes down 1. He tells you a tale, or gives you lodging. You and any companions will heal 1 level. Well, we don't need healing. In our aura shields, it's high, but I think we're okay with that for now. But telling a tale could be interesting. Maybe we'll learn something that will help us. So E138. Okay, E138. Roll a D10, D12. Actually, this is an error. That will be corrected in the future. Look at that. Supposed to be roll a D12. D12. So we had to roll a D12 under this rumor encounter. Okay, D12. 8. Okay, let's go to roll result 8. You learn about a mysterious tower. Roll a D6 to determine the direction of the tower. 3. 3 is southeast. Then roll a D6 to determine how many hexes away, and then we record this under points of interest on our character sheet. Okay, right. Southeast. Ooh, 1 hex away. So we return back to our points of interest and we record this here. So points of interest, we are going to a tower. And it is hex number, we come to our map, 1715. And the event number for this, we go back to the event, Mysterious Tower, is E048. So when we get to that hex and we're able to choose an action, we then can do a point of interest action and go to this tower and then go right to that event and see what happens. All right, so we record our point of interest. We have no more instructions on our event, so now we're able to choose another action. So the question is, what do? We are currently on a hex with a city. Yeah, get off my finger. Or we can go down to, so we can enter the city. We can actually perform a city action right now, being on a hex with a city. Or maybe we should go down straight to this hex here. This is where our tower is, on hex 1715, which is right there. What to do. Okay, you know what? I've decided to forget about the city. Let's go right to the hex with the tower. But in order to get to the tower, we had to perform a travel action into the hex where the tower is. So to complete this travel action, we still need to roll for an event. But if we finish in this hex, we then can perform a point of interest action and go check out the tower. All right, so now we come to our table. Our aura shield is still high, and we get a 30. So 36 is E148. Let's turn to that in the event book. Well, it turns out we have come across a temple, and we decide to enter it. Our curiosity gets the better of us. So we enter a large stone temple, and we are to roll a D10. All right, roll a D10. 3. Okay, 3 is, it is vacant, but you find an entrance to a tomb. So there's a tomb in this temple. You can enter the tomb or leave. Enter the tomb. If you leave, XP 2, so we'll get 2 XP, but then we gotta roll a D6 and roll for another event. Let's enter the tomb. So E011. E011, tomb. You enter a dark, dank tomb. Roll a D10. Roll a D10. 6. Okay, 6 is, you search the tomb. Attempt an intellect skill test. Table C, the black shield column, intellect -2. Okay, so let's do a skill test. So we come to our table, and we do under here, -2. We have a 3 intellect, so +1 to this roll. 8 + 1 is 9, a pass. Great. Ooh, okay, we pass. You find descending stairs. E190. Okay, E190 is catacombs. The walls are lined with countless bones. XP D4. So we get D4 XP right away, and then we have to roll a D6 to find out what happens in the catacombs. D4. So we get 1 experience point, and we've recorded that there, ever so closer to getting second level. Roll a D6. 5. All right, we go to roll result 5. 5. There's a sealed door with carved symbols. Attempt an intellect skill test. Table C, under that column, shield with the sword, intellect -2. I think I'll stop there. We've had a chance to perform a number of actions, get a general idea how the game flows, to see the various dice rolls you make on the table sheet. So just an overview of how the game is played. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and bye-bye for now.